After our father passed away, I, 28M, inherited most of his estate while my sister, 25F, received only a small portion. She now wants me to split everything 50-50, but I believe I should respect our father's final wishes. AITA for not wanting to share my inheritance with my sister. So, I, 28M, recently lost my father. It was a really tough time, but we knew it was coming because he had been sick for a while. Before he passed, he made it clear in his will that I would inherit the majority of his estate, including his house and a significant amount of money. My sister, 25F, would receive a smaller amount, mostly sentimental items and a bit of cash. Here's the thing. My sister and my dad didn't have a good relationship. She moved out when she was 18, and they barely spoke after that. My dad tried to reconnect several times, but she always shut him down. I, on the other hand, took care of him during his illness, visiting almost every day and handling all his medical appointments. Now, my sister is furious. She's calling me selfish and saying that it's unfair she got so little. She thinks I should split the inheritance 50-50. I told her I respected Dad's wishes and that I don't think it's my responsibility to change what he wanted, especially given the circumstances. She argues that family is family, and it's not fair to punish her for their estranged relationship. But I think it's not my fault they didn't get along. She had years to fix things with him, but she chose not to. My mom, they're divorced, is on her side, saying that I should do the right thing and give her more money to keep the peace. Some friends agree with her, while others think I'm justified in keeping what I was given. So, AITA for not wanting to share my inheritance with my sister, ****. Get it. I've seen some comments saying this sounds fake or that I'm leaving out key details, so let me clarify a few things. First, about my sister's estrangement. It wasn't something that happened overnight. After my parents' divorce, she sided heavily with my mom and gradually distanced herself from our dad. She blamed him for the split, and even though Dad tried to reconcile over the years, she was unwilling to meet him halfway. I'm not saying she's a bad person, divorces are messy, but it's not like Dad cut her off for no reason. Second, I know some of you might think Dad was playing favorites, but I don't see it that way. I think he divided things based on who was there for him in his final years. It wasn't about punishment. It was about recognition. Lastly, for those saying I'm conveniently painting myself as the golden child, I promise that's not my intention. My sister had her reasons for stepping back, but I stepped up because I felt it was the right thing to do. That's why this situation is so hard. I'm trying to honor my dad's wishes, but I also don't want to completely ruin my relationship with my sister. Hope this clears up some of the gaps. I've seen a lot of questions, so I'll try to clarify some things to fill in the gaps. Why did my parents get divorced? My parents' divorce happened when I was 12 and my sister was 9. It wasn't one big event, it was a combination of things. My dad worked long hours running his own business, and my mom felt neglected. She also said Dad had a controlling personality, which caused a lot of tension. On the other hand, Dad felt Mom wasn't supportive of his career and resented him for working so much. Eventually, they just couldn't make it work, and they decided to separate. My sister blamed Dad for the divorce because, in her eyes, he was the one who chose work over family. Mom didn't exactly help. She would make comments about how Dad cared more about his business than his kids. I think this shaped my sister's perspective and made her more distant from him. Why were my sister and Dad so conflicted? After the divorce, I stayed with Dad, while my sister lived with Mom. Dad tried to stay involved in her life, but the distance, both physical and emotional, made things harder. Over time, my sister started avoiding him. For example, he'd call her, but she wouldn't pick up. He'd send gifts or letters, and she'd never acknowledge them. One of the big breaking points came when she graduated high school. Dad showed up to her graduation uninvited because he wanted to celebrate her, but she got upset and accused him of trying to make it about himself. After that, they barely spoke. Why didn't my sister visit when Dad was sick? This is something only my sister can fully explain, but I think it goes back to their strained relationship. By the time Dad got sick, they hadn't spoken in years. I reached out to her multiple times, telling her how serious things were, but she said she wasn't ready to see him. Dad was hurt but never angry. He just said, she has to come on her own terms. Unfortunately, she never did. Why didn't Dad just leave everything 50-50? I asked myself this too. I think Dad felt the inheritance should reflect the relationships he had. He knew I had been there for him throughout his illness, and he wanted to recognize that. At the same time, he didn't want to completely exclude my sister, which is why he left her sentimental items and some money. I don't think it was about punishing her. I think he just wanted to acknowledge the reality of our family dynamic. Hope this clears up some of the questions people have been asking. Let me know if there's anything else I can explain. AITA has no consensus bot. OOP was NTA *******. Top comments. Commenter 1 ****. So family is family now. But it wasn't when your dad tried to have a relationship with her? Honor dad's wishes. NTA ****. Commenter 2 ****NTA. Your dad made his wishes pretty clear in his will, and respecting those is totally valid. It sounds like you were the one in the trenches with him during his tough times, which probably factored into his decision. It's rough that your sis is upset, but redistributing the inheritance isn't a Monopoly game where you can shuffle the properties to keep the peace. Maybe try explaining to her that it's about respecting what your dad wanted, not playing favorites. If peace needs to be bought, maybe it's priced too high. Commenter 3 ****NTA. You're respecting your dad's wishes, and that's key. It's tough she didn't get as much, but like you said, she had time to mend things and chose not to. You can't just rewrite wills to make everyone happy. That defeats their purpose. Commenter 4 ****. Interesting how family is family when dividing up the inheritance, but not so much when her father was alive trying to mend the relationship with he. Commenter 5. Tell your sister and your mom that you would be fine if your mom left more to her since the relationship focus went that way, but that you also will expect your sister to be the one that steps up and takes care of your mom when the time comes. Thanks for all the responses on my original post. After thinking it through, and reading a lot of your comments, I've decided I'm not giving my sister anything beyond what dad left her. His will was clear, and I'm not going to disrespect his wishes to appease someone who didn't even bother to visit him when he was dying. I tried to be reasonable and explain my side, but it's pointless. My sister is still sending me nasty texts, calling me names, and acting like I stole from her. My mom is no better. She's basically turned this into a full-on guilt trip, saying things like, "You're tearing this family apart, and you're just like your father." Honestly, if being just like dad means standing my ground, I'll take it as a compliment. At this point, I'm done trying to keep the peace. They can say whatever they want about me. I'm not changing my mind. I'm going to do what I want with the inheritance and move on with my life. If that means cutting some people off, so be it. Everyone who said I'm not the ***** hole. Thank you. It feels good to have some validation. For now, I'm focusing on honoring dad's memory and making the most of what he left me. We'll see where this goes next, but I'm not backing down. Top comments. Commenter 1 ****. Tell your mom you are happy that you aren't like her. Hit her where it hurts. Commenter 2 ***. Glad you are following dad's wishes. Sounds like mom and sister only care about the money. Time to block them. Commenter 3 ***. So your mother and sister were estranged from your father due to him prioritizing his work but want to gain from the fruits of that hard work. The mental gymnastics are real with them. It's not often people wear their hypocrisy so loudly. You're doing the right thing. Commenter 4 ***. Good on you for standing your ground. You're doing the right thing. Good luck. New updates. Editor's note. The next update is 1 year old, and it has not been posted onto the sub here. It's been a while since my last update, but things have gone completely off the rails since then, and I need to get this off my chest. 6 months after my dad passed and the inheritance was finalized, my sister completely lost it. I thought things were rough before, but this took it to a whole new level. First, she tried to sue me. She claimed I manipulated dad into changing the will and accused me of undue influence, saying I isolated her from him while he was sick and pressured him while he was medicated. It was full of lies and reached so far I don't even know how she said it with a straight face. She even had 2 friends of hers sign statements saying they felt something was off, even though neither of them were ever around our family. Her case got tossed quickly. Judge dismissed it with prejudice, so she can't try again. I thought that would be the end of it. Nope, she started harassing me. Constant texts, emails, calls from private numbers. She made burner accounts on social media and commented on anything I posted. Signed me up for mailing lists. Then I walked outside one day and someone had spray painted thief across my garage. I have cameras now. And yeah, it was her. Clear as day. Had to file a police report, and that's still in progress. Then she showed up at the house while I was gone for the weekend, broken through a back window. She wrecked the place, ripped pictures off the walls, poured something on the couch, smelled like bleach, broke furniture, went through drawers, dumped boxes of my dad's stuff on the floor, left a note on the bathroom mirror that just said, "You don't deserve this." I reported the break-in. There's now a criminal case open against her. It gets worse. Right after that, she started telling extended family and mutual friends that I had sexually assaulted her when we were younger. That's where I draw the line. It's not just petty inheritance drama anymore. She crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. I've never done anything like that, obviously, and hearing that kind of accusation come from your own sibling is something I don't think I'll ever fully process. I have nothing to hide, and I've already spoken to a lawyer. If she says it publicly again, I'm filing a defamation suit. My mom is still trying to play both sides. She says things like, "Your sister is just grieving in her own way," as if that justifies any of this. It doesn't. We're done. I've cut contact with both of them. If there's a takeaway here, it's that people can spiral in ways you never expect when money and guilt get mixed together. I kept thinking, surely this is the last straw. But it just kept going. I'm tired, I'm angry, and I'm done. I'll keep the house. I'll keep what dad left me. And I'll keep my distance. New update **** editor's note. The latest update's body text has been saved before it was removed ****. It's been a while since my last update, and honestly, I wasn't sure if I would ever make another one. After everything that happened with my sister, I felt like there wasn't much left to say. The legal issues were moving through the system. I had cut contact with most of the people involved, and I was trying to focus on rebuilding my life instead of constantly looking over my shoulder waiting for the next disaster. Before I get into the update, I want to thank everyone who has followed this story. A few people recently pointed out that between the original post and all the updates, they've now been viewed over 1 million times. That's honestly difficult for me to wrap my head around. When I made the first post, I was just looking for outside opinions because I felt completely stuck. I never expected so many people to become invested in what started as a family argument over an inheritance. A lot of you gave advice that ended up helping more than you probably realize. The people who kept telling me to document everything were absolutely right. At the time I thought I was being thorough, but looking back I don't think I could have over-prepared for what eventually happened. Every message, every email, every voicemail, and every piece of camera footage ended up matching at some point. For the past several months, life has been surprisingly quiet. That's probably the biggest update I have. After over a year of constant conflict, legal filings, accusations, and drama, things finally slowed down. I didn't realize how much stress I had been carrying until I stopped having to deal with a new crisis every week. It's strange how quickly chaos becomes normal when you're living through it. One thing that did surprise me was hearing from extended family members I hadn't spoken to in a long time. Several people reached out over the last few months, and the conversations were very different from what I expected. Instead of questioning me or asking about the inheritance, most of them were apologizing. Apparently, as more information came out and people started comparing stories, a lot of relatives realized they had accepted things they were told about me without ever asking for my side of the situation. Some of those conversations were honestly uncomfortable because I didn't know how to respond. A few relatives admitted they had believed I manipulated my father. Others said they assumed the lawsuit meant there had to be something suspicious about the will. One person even told me they thought I had intentionally prevented my sister from seeing my father during his illness. Hearing that was frustrating, but it also explained why some people had suddenly distanced themselves from me after my father passed away. The common theme in all those conversations was that people eventually started noticing inconsistencies. Different people had been told different versions of the same story, and those versions didn't always line up with each other. Once questions started being asked, some of the narratives that had circulated through the family became much harder to defend. For the first time since this entire situation began, I wasn't the one being asked to explain myself. My relationship with my mother remains complicated. We've spoken a handful of times, and while things are less hostile than they used to be, I wouldn't describe them as good. We still disagree about a lot of what happened, and I don't think either of us is likely to change our mind anytime soon. That said, we've at least reached a point where we can have a conversation without it turning into an argument within 5 minutes, which is more progress than I would have expected a year ago. As for my sister, there really isn't much to report. We haven't spoken, and I haven't made any effort to change that. Some relationships can survive serious disagreements, but what happened between us went far beyond a disagreement about money. Too many things were said and too many lines were crossed for me to pretend everything can simply go back to normal. Maybe things will be different someday, but that's not something I'm actively hoping for or planning around. The biggest thing I've realized over the last year and a half is that the inheritance itself stopped being the main issue a long time ago. When I made the original post, I thought the argument was about money. Looking back, the money was just the spark that exposed years of resentment, unresolved family problems, and completely different views of the same events. The inheritance wasn't what broke my family. It just revealed how broken parts of it already were. For now, life is stable. The house feels like my home, work is going well, and I'm finally making plans that don't revolve around court dates or legal paperwork. After everything that's happened, I've learned not to assume that the story is completely over, but for the first time since my father died, it feels like I'm moving forward instead of standing still. As always, thank you to everyone who followed this situation and offered advice along the way. I never expected over 1 million people to read about what happened to my family, but I'm grateful for the support I've received. Hopefully my next update, if there ever is one, will be significantly less dramatic than the ones that came before. OOP***. Since a lot of people are asking about the criminal case, I'll answer what I can. I can't get into every detail because some of it is still subject to court records and I don't really want to turn this into a play-by-play of the legal process. That said, the charges stemmed from the break-in and damage to the house. The camera footage ended up being a huge factor. It clearly showed my sister entering the property while I was away and remaining inside for a significant amount of time. Combined with the condition of the house afterward, the damaged property, and some other evidence collected during the investigation, law enforcement felt there was enough to move forward. The charges included unlawful entry, criminal mischief/property damage, and a few related offenses. Again, I'm intentionally being somewhat vague because I don't want to post documents online, but it wasn't a situation where she was arrested because of an argument over inheritance. It was specifically tied to actions she took after the inheritance dispute. A lot of people have asked whether she served jail time. The answer is no. She ultimately accepted a plea agreement. From my understanding, that involved probation, restitution related to some of the damage, and conditions restricting contact. Some people will probably think that's too lenient and others will think it's too harsh. But at that point I wasn't interested in revenge. I just wanted the behavior to stop. The sexual assault allegations were never part of the criminal case. Those accusations were never substantiated and never resulted in charges against anyone. My attorney's advice was to document everything, avoid public arguments, and address any false statements through the proper legal channels if necessary. I know some people were expecting a dramatic courtroom showdown, but real life is usually less exciting than Reddit wants it to be. Most legal disputes end with paperwork, negotiations, and people getting tired of paying lawyers. The biggest thing the criminal case accomplished was creating consequences and boundaries. For the first time since all of this started, there were actual restrictions in place. Whether people agree with the outcome or not, things became significantly quieter afterward, which was ultimately what I wanted. The sister is clearly the problem, but I'd also go one step further and include the mother and the family members who heard the lies and didn't hesitate to believe them. I would go so far as to say that I would have a strong suspicion that the mother encouraged a lot of this behavior, probably right up until there started to be criminal charges, and then she backed off and pretended to not be as pissed off as she was. Possibly, yeah. I feel more like it was one more battlefield against the dad/ex though. That resentment transferred into OOP and the mom interpreted it possibly as the last fuck you from the dad to the mom. It seems like the mother caused the rift away back when they divorced, and then stirred up more when the father died. Sister isn't innocent, but the mother was obviously playing games from when they were young. Poor OOP, but hopefully things will at least be peaceful going forward. I still haven't seen an instance of someone saying do whatever thing to keep the peace/avoid hurting the family, which wasn't a massive red flag for narcissism/personality disorder/chronic dysfunction in a family. It always seems to be the case that when someone is being leaned on to keep the peace, it's because somewhere in the family there is someone irrational, often to the point of being dangerous, surrounded by a nest of enablers. Keeping the peace never changes things, and certainly never improves them, and refusing to comply exposes the interwoven dysfunction and dependency and inevitably prompts irrational drama. This same scenario happened in my family. It ultimately resulted in all of us going no contact with that person. I am talking of about 15 people, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nibblings, choosing to cut all contact with her about 10 years ago. Going no contact has given us all peace of mind but also very complicated feelings. This relative used to babysat me when I was a kid. I really thought she loved and we had a bond. After all the things she has said and done, I wonder if she ever loved me or she was pretending to get close to us. The worst part is that the inheritance that broke the whole family is a very old dilapidated house in the middle of nowhere that would require spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to make it livable again. The inheritance trial is still ongoing as she kept delaying everything. I just want this whole thing to end and that she finally disappears from our lives. My family is heading that way too. Neither of my brothers talk to my sister anymore, and my mother outright planned her trips this year to fall on Mother's Day and her birthday so she could quite literally get out of the country and avoid spending time with my sister, and to be honest, I don't blame any of them for doing so. I've reduced a lot of contact with my sister once she started drunk texting my wife, and I screenshots of all the verbal/textual abuse she was sending to my oldest brother. She turned 40 last year and it's been rough on her. Kinda like OOP and his sister. She started an argument over something that eventually stopped being about that thing and started being about grievances she had about how he was never the sitcom-style older brother she wanted and how all these bad things happened to her because of him, or how his friends treated her, while also simultaneously being upset that she had to give him friends because he didn't have any, etc. I think the bit I found the most revealing was how she stated my oldest brother must be a misogynist because our mom raised him to be that way because of her own trauma, and that must be why he's so mean to her. It couldn't possibly be, the literal years of manic anger explosions of our sister yelling at our oldest brother, and that's why he put distance between them. Any psychoanalysis on her part always ventures into how other people must be so fucked up to cause them to treat her poorly, while never accounting for any reciprocal treatment on her part. She just can't fathom that maybe people treat her poorly because she treats them poorly. I am a bit confused by this because the divorce happened when the sister was 9, but apparently the dad didn't get any custody or got very little custody. That isn't really a thing. I get the relationship fell apart before the father died, but how did the years of little to no contact happen from age 9 to 18? I've seen it happen on occasion. Often the case too when one parent cannot/will not, for one reason or another, stay in the original area, so the kids are then faced with having to choose primary custody with one parent or the other, as going back and forth every week would not be feasible. Kid A may want to stay with mom because they like mom more or mom's a better parent. Kid B may stay with dad because they don't want to leave their friends behind, etc. It happened with my husband because for some insane reason his parents had him pick who he wanted to live with when he was 7. He chose dad because it meant not moving and leaving his school and friends. It's called a resist/refuse situation. If a kid refuses to have visitation WTH a parent and the kid is basically too old to be picked up and moved, older than a toddler, then there really isn't a whole lot courts can do that isn't going to be traumatic or damaging to the kid. Some courts recognize that and some traumatize kids. It's possible this father decoded not to fight it because he didn't want his kids to go through the legal battle.